Hey guys, it's Krystal Lee Moore Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore, and this is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional in Ontario. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about keeping motivation high, recommitting, and remembering that it's most important in life to be kind and decent to those around you. So let's get started. So firstly, keeping your motivation high. It can be so overwhelming no matter what time of the year it is, but especially as we get into kind of the colder months, the end of the year, some of us are just tired. And if you haven't been doing the rest run cycle, which I will remind you of in a second, then you can just feel blah. And I kind of years ago had committed when I became a realtor, I would not ever work on long weekends. That was very important to me. And it was more because I knew that as a new realtor, I was going to have to hustle. And you can't hustle 24/7 without burning out. So I wanted to know that if I worked for 3 weekends a month, I could at least have the long weekend and refresh. And that was kind of my first foray into balance. And then as I kind of got further down the path, I was like, okay, so then I'm going to not work on the long weekends, or at least take one weekend a month off. But then also on top of that, make sure that I'm going away and really recharging at least every 8 weeks. So trying for 8 weeks, I think I've pretty much have it down to a bit of a science. And it seems great. 8 weeks is not that long if you're super stressed out, but it does help you recharge and it helps you get excited again about what we're doing here, which is kind of cool. So what was happening for me, so keeping motivation high, I find that, and a lot of people are like this, but when you go on vacation, the week before vacation is so busy. It's so busy. It's insane. And you're kind of like extra pumped about it because you know you get to go away. So you're going to kind of push it longer. Maybe you're not resting as much, whatever that is. You go on vacation and isn't that great? Then you come back. And I don't know about you guys, but getting back into the routine after vacation is so hard. So hard. And it can be like you're kind of crushing it. I had this whole plan. I was doing all these things. And then I go on vacation and come back and it's like Everest to get back to the normal. And what I find really tough is sometimes it's just getting back into it. So one of the things I was doing before vacation, and actually to be honest, it was even before I left for vacation, I had been reading 10 pages a day of a business book. And what happened to me is I kind of shifted focus and I recommitted to my business. And I previously had been really focusing on kind of this other stream of my business. So I recommitted to my actual business, which is being a real estate broker. And what happened for me in that moment is that the book I had been reading didn't apply anymore. I'm a finisher. I've mentioned this, like we have starters and finishers, and the world is made up of both. If you are a starter, you're probably surrounded by unfinished projects. If you're a finisher, you have less projects because it's very stressful. If you know you're finishing it, you have to manage your time. You have to manage your energy. And so oftentimes you'll have a situation where it really kills you to not finish something. So I have the book, Talk Like TED. I'm halfway through. And in all fairness, it is just anecdotal stories about TED Talks. So you could watch the TED Talk, you could read about the TED Talk, but I wasn't really getting the same joie de vivre from reading this book. But I'm a finisher, so it really stresses me out to not finish something. So it's sitting downstairs next to my treadmill because I stopped reading it. And then I wasn't sure what book to go with next. So I do listen to audiobooks. Big recommend. I just finished listening to Be Useful by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who, by the way, narrates it. And big thank you to my friend and colleague, Chris McCauley, for suggesting it. And it's so good. And what is Arnold's one of his most important lessons in that book is work your butt off. And there's no getting around it. If you want to be successful, you've got to hustle. But you also have to rest and recharge. I don't necessarily agree with Arnold that naps are for babies and old people. You're allowed to rest, but work your butt off. And so that was the book that I was listening to, but I was having a hard time doing my 10 pages a day. And reading 10 pages a day has been something that's really important to me. So I'm arranging all of these guests for the podcast. So what I'm doing on this podcast is every second week, I'm having an interview with an awesome person. And every other week, you get to talk with me and listen to all the fun things that I spend so much time learning about, so I can share, give you a little digestible format. And then if you want to go and learn more about that topic, have at her. So I was speaking with Scott Stratten, and Scott Stratten, if you don't know, I'm surprised if you don't know about him as a realtor, but he is awesome. So he wrote UnMarketing, and he also wrote QR Codes Kill Kittens, and recently he wrote Unleadership with his partner and wife. So Unleadership, I've just started it, is really good. But again, I was struggling with this 10 pages. I'm like, what am I doing? So I purchased it using Google Playbooks. And it's harder with Google Playbooks because I'll read it on my phone, which is very convenient, but the 10 pages is harder. Like you might be reading 15 pages to get the 10-page mark, and that's fine. But I was just struggling getting these 10 in. So as I was preparing for this podcast, it's Monday today, and it is also November 11th, Remembrance Day. So it's a later start today. But writing out all of my goals for the day, I realized I wanted my 10 pages. So I put on a timer and I read 10 pages of Unleadership, and I'm very excited to continue reading it. But just in doing the 10 pages and checking it off, it felt so good, guys. And sometimes the motivation comes when you do the thing you were trying to get motivated to do. And that sounds so crazy, but it's kind of like, have you ever had where you don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to work out, you're just like, ugh, I don't want to. And then you force yourself to go. You go anyway, and you're like, you know what, I'll do 5 minutes. And then you start the 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden you get into it, and then the motivation rises, and then you're crushing it. You have a great workout. You feel fantastic after. That's kind of like what this is. So I read the 10 pages, feeling really good, read a few really cool quotes about how storytelling is such an important part of why we do what we do. And and just felt really good. So the motivation sometimes comes from within, and sometimes it just comes from action, right? So it's just the forward movement, the motion of getting into action will bring you the motivation. And don't be too hard on yourself if you're feeling unmotivated and you're like, why is this? It doesn't naturally come from within. And so Ziglar has that quote, which is, motivation is like bathing. It doesn't last. Therefore, one should do it daily. And Aristotle said that excellence is, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is a habit. And so if you want to be excellent, you continue to do things that are excellent. And if you want to be motivated, you continue to surround yourself with things that are motivational. Now, that might be people. So I'm currently running a challenge, and the challenge I'm running is actually not a real estate challenge. It is a fitness challenge. So one of my passions is helping people with real estate and helping my colleagues with real estate. The other passion is helping people with understanding their bodies and fitness journeys and all of that. So I'm doing this, it's almost the second last day, guys, of Zero Sugar 1 month. I'm using a book by Dr. Becky Gillespie, and I wanted to know what the hype was with ditching sugar. So I'm leading this group, but it's interesting to see, I was afraid to do it originally, but it's interesting to see kind of how scared people were to do it and how scared people were to continue and finish it. It's tough because we're always, all of us, trying to balance our time. And we had a really great discussion. I run a women's networking group, a leadership group, and we had a great discussion about committing to things that you're not passionate about. So a colleague of mine had said to me a couple years ago, you know what, I've changed my calendar, and when I'm asked to do something, if it is not a hell yes, it's an F no. And I thought that's so interesting because how often are we kind of like half-heartedly going to things and we don't really want to be there. We think we could be somewhere else. And it's not making us light up. It's not our passion. So why are you doing it? Like, is there a reason that you're doing something that you're not passionate about? And I'm sure there's a good reason, right? Like, you don't want to miss out, or you said something to someone that you would, but ultimately you have to feel good about what you're doing. And one of the quotes that one of the ladies sent after the meeting was that no is a full sentence. So as women, and I mean, if you're a man listening to this, know that you probably might have the same problem, but sometimes we over-explain. So if we're asked to do something and we can't do it, we don't need to give a big, long reason. Now, is there common courtesy if it's something that you said you would do and then you're bailing? Yeah, there is. Like, don't be a jerk, guys. But at the same time, if someone wants you to do something and you can't do it, you can just say, no, I'm so sorry, I can't. That's it. Like, you don't have to add more. If the relationship calls for adding more, or you've committed to something, or there's like a common decency element to it, then yes, of course, you explain. So if like, for example, if I have a teammate, so if my teammate needs me to do something and she can't do it, and I just say no, and I don't tell her why, she might not like rely on me next time, or she might feel like I'm not supporting her. So I would give if I can't do it, I would say, this is what I'm doing. Here's some other times I can do it. Does that work? Right? So very different than just saying no. But if someone says like, hey, I need you to do this, and you're like, I really can't, so sorry. Maybe offer to help them find someone else, whatever it is. Some of us are like super helpful, like myself, and I'm sure many listening are the same. But we do not have to do what people need us to do the second that they need us to do it. And it's important to find that middle, because I also don't believe in living in a society where no one really cares about each other. That increasingly bothers me. I think we really should try to go out of our way to help people. But I also think that it's okay if you can't, right? It's okay. So just allowing yourself to be yourself, authentically say yes or authentically say no. And that's what's most important. And also accepting other people. Like, I find that there tends to be this set of rules that we all agree that are the right way to be, and the right way to speak, and the right way to act. And some of them I agree with, some of them I don't agree with. But who says what the actual rules are? Because it might not be good to be, for example, let's say we all agree that being late is not good. But do we all agree that speaking about people behind their backs is not good? Do we all agree that showing up on time but unprepared is not good? Or that showing up late but prepared is not good, right? So, I mean, in the perfect world, you're early, you're prepared, you've crushed it, it's great. It really comes down to shaping your business and your life for who you want to be. Because unfortunately, the reality is if you are late and unprepared, that translates into you are unreliable and untrustworthy, which really sucks. And I'm someone that has struggled with time management forever because I always put too much stuff on my plate. I respect people's time immensely, but what happens when you are not on time is that people assume you do not respect their time. And I'll tell you who's not super keen to work with you is someone who doesn't think that you respect their time. So it's things like that where you really want to make sure that you are giving the best impression of you and that you're taking that time. So if that motivation is high, your light is bright, your cup is full, however you want to say it, you're going to be a better version of you than if you are tired and just dragging yourself from appointment to appointment and you're just saying yes to everything and you're exhausted, right? Like it's going to be really hard for you to be your best you and to give the best of you. So that's kind of keeping that motivation high. Now, the recommitting is important. So as I said, I run this 0 sugar 1 month challenge. It was a 30-day challenge, which means basically 4 weeks plus 2 days. Now, depending on who you are and how you like doing things, I like starting challenges on a Monday. So the way this challenge is, it's 30 days, but what I decided to do in that recommitment is that I'm going to take the next 5 weeks and I'm doing another cool challenge. And what's important there is that you figure out what motivates you and then you capitalize on it. So in my efforts to do this extra 5 weeks, I'm keeping the sugar away, but I'm adding in some extra pieces so that I have more energy and I feel good and I really like reap the benefits of this whole thing. I originally started this thing because I wanted my sleep to be better because I thought I could be a better realtor. I mean, and big ups to anyone. Like if you're kind of operating on a constant sleep deprivation, figure it out. Sleep is so important and you can't really be your best you if you're not able to sleep. The second thing is that I was really kind of getting focused on these like highs and lows in the day where I was so tired and sugar spikes and all of this. And going into the fall where I know there's going to be like cookies and cakes and Halloween candy and pie and Christmas, like it is never ending. So I thought, you know what, this is a great time for me to bow out and try to eat healthier and see if I feel better. And fun fact, guys, day 29, feeling pretty fantastic. So in that recommitment, whatever it is, like I also find like so as much as I love leading this stuff, I also like just being in challenges. So I'm in a really great group of realtors right now doing a 100 Days to Greatness challenge. And these are realtors from all over Canada. And I am crushing my goals every week because I'm part of a group. So remember when we said about like keeping motivation, being part of a group where you know everyone's rising to the challenge is so exciting because you can push yourself, right? So it's like, okay, we're leveling up, let's do this. And you just show your best self. It's very hard to do that if you're in a group and no one really cares or no one's really participating. I don't mind leading groups of people. I love it. Like I absolutely love it. I'm here to help. But for my motivation to be high, it's being surrounded by people that are also go-getters, that will also like bring me along with them. It's kind of this reciprocity that's so beautiful. So the people you spend time with matter. The books you read matter. The shows you watch, the things you listen to, like these are all so important. I also run a Buffini group of realtors, and we're kind of all over Southern Ontario. But one of the members said he was noticing that at the end of the night, when his wife and his son would go to bed, he would be like scrolling on YouTube and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because he didn't feel like he had his own time. And so he switched it up and started reading a chapter of a book a night instead of scrolling YouTube. So now he's like feeding his mind. He's feeling good. He's still getting that time for himself, but instead of wasting it, he's learning something. Now, it depends who you are. When I try to read, like, so I can read for 10 minutes with a timer, or I can read like on the treadmill or on an elliptical. If I just sit on the couch and read, a chapter is a big ask. I will fall asleep for sure. And I don't know what that's about. It could be because I'm such a go-getter that the second my body stops, it's like, okay, can we sleep now? So however you want to do it, bring the book to bed, you're fine. But instead of just kind of wasting time or fighting sleep for entertainment, Jerry Seinfeld used to see that. He said that like the hand that touches the remote is the last part of your body to fall asleep. And we're always like fighting sleep to get more entertained. And it's really funny because we need sleep. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, what do we think we're going to miss out on? And the last thing I just want to talk about is just being a commonly decent person. If you have a chance to be polite to someone or to be rude to someone, or if you have a chance to reply to someone versus ghosting someone, or a chance to fix something when you could just leave it, take it, guys. I mean, we don't know how long we're on the planet. It feels like every week, every year, we're finding out about more people that we're losing. And this life isn't made for us to be super stressed out or bummed or mad or rude. Like, just take whatever chance you have and make someone's day better. So if a colleague reaches out, be nice. If you're working on a deal with someone, you don't have to try and beat them up. Like, this is not what this is. And please, please take time for fun and joy, because honestly, guys, none of it matters. Like, it matters where it's important and we want to feel an impact. But like, if you're stressed out and you're wrecking your life, or your health is at risk because you're so stressed out because of money or a job or your career or a problem at work, like, it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Did you wake up today? Are you going to wake up tomorrow? Like, those are big questions. And so I don't want to get all like woo woo, but it really comes down to like, do unto others, right? Like, love each other. I'm a Christian, so I say love God, love each other. But that's it. Like, just treat people kindly. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And if you have the chance to support someone, support them. Like, it's okay to take time out of our selfish lives and give support to someone else, especially if they're supporting you. And when you meet people that support you too, it's so beautiful, guys. It's so beautiful. You can love on your clients, you can love on your friends and your colleagues, and together we have a chance to make the world better all the time. So thank you so much for listening. I believe that the next time I come to you for one of these podcast episodes will be after our Fight to End event. So we run a huge event in London called the Fight to End Homelessness. It is a charity boxing event. We have some amazing participants, fantastic sponsors, a great team, and it's happening November 21st, 2024 at the RBC Place in London, Ontario. And I'm so excited to see how much money we're able to raise for the community. The money's all going to Youth Opportunities Unlimited here in London. And like, it just feels so good to be part of something that's giving back. So if you can take a minute and find a way to just give back and just stop the stress for 1 second and think about how you can make the world a better place, I promise you, it takes the stress away and it feels so good. So keep your motivation high, recommit to your goals, be a good person, help others be good people, and just keep rocking it, because if you work hard and you're passionate about what you do, you have to succeed. I'm Krystal Lee Moore Lucier, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore. This is Realtor Life, and I am so, so happy that you joined me today. Bye, guys.